Hello guys, it's January 21st. Wanted to show you guys our group of registered Red Angus cattle. We're actually still strip grazing them. Just the last week, I mentioned in my last video, it's been below freezing for at least 7 to 8 days. We had a little bit of snow, dusting of snow 6 or 7 days ago, and had about 3 inches 2 or 3 days ago. I just wanted to show you that we're strip grazing through the snow and no hay yet. We will feed hay. This is in the field where we've done the bale grazing project, affiliated with, I think NRCS is involved in that. Our primary contact was Greg Halich through UK, who's working on that project. So I'll show you guys what things look like. So I just turned the cattle in this area. There's roughly 2 to 3 inches, which I realize is not a lot of snow. This forage was about 12 inches tall a couple months ago, but now that we've gotten into winter, it's kind of started to lay down on the ground some. But you can see the cattle are easily eating through that. So, you know, and they're actually in excellent condition. I'm actually surprised how good of condition these cows are in. These are dry cows, so they are pregnant, due to calve starting around March the 20th. So that'll be another 2 months from now. Again, so their energy needs right now are not extremely high. These cows are only on this stockpile grass. We're currently giving them a fresh strip of grass about every 3 to 4 days. And I'm also destocked right now. So normally I have 20 to 25 head, usually 23 to 25 head over the winter. I'm down to 16 right now, and that's mainly due because I had 6 cows that calve late. So when I wean calves, I had to take them off because their calves were not ready to be weaned yet. So I transferred them to the fall calving herd, which is the group of cows I showed you in the last video. Again, these are moderate frame Red Angus cattle. They're all registered except one, and there is one black cow that's a Sim Angus, and she's the biggest cow in the group, the black cow. So again, they're holding their condition really well through this strip grazing. And again, we have not fed any hay, no supplementation with any grain, no protein tubs to this group, nothing extra, just the grass. Okay guys, I'm gonna try to give you a little orientation with where we are in the field. This is the sycamore tree we had used as a landmark for last year. Our high density bale grazing area was to the left last year. We are not feeding hay on that this year. There's an electric fence here in the middle that you can't really see because of the snow, dividing this field in half. The right side is the low bale density area that we had fed last year, and we're gonna feed there again this year. My hay has been delivered, but I haven't set it out yet. And then I'm gonna kind of pan around. So the cows are here now. There is a fence. It's probably hard to see with the snow. There's basically a fence going straight back this way, so they can only get in the back part of this field. This is about the 3rd move we've had. The next back fence is set up about 40 feet down, and the dividing fence is going straight down the middle. So this is the high density area over here. And again, we're moving the cows. The cows are to my right. We're moving them away from the creek, up the hill, that direction. Once we strip graze this, we'll pan around slowly. Once we strip graze this side where the cows are now and work our way to the front, at that point, I'll have my bales set out for bale grazing. We'll start in the back near the creek, and we'll work our way up the field going this direction. And then we'll work our way up this side and go to the top of the hill. So that's kind of where we are right now. That's the plan. and so far the cows are doing really well. I mentioned we had just come off of a week of below freezing weather, and then this starting tomorrow is supposed to get up in the 40s, and this coming week it's going to be 40 to 50 for highs, and it's a chance of rain almost every day. So you know, it has the potential to be a lot of mud, but since we're still out on pasture with this group, we don't have to worry about that as much. That will be more of a concern with the group that we are bale grazing, especially since I have not had time to get my hay preset out yet. But that's something I'm going to try to work on. Okay, in parting, I wanted to kind of follow up, or finish up, I should say, with considerations of time of year of calving. So when it comes to strip grazing and trying to feed minimal amounts of hay, in my experience, that's easiest done with dry cows. So to have a dry cow in the middle of the winter, those cows are usually going to have to calve in the spring. So we calve this group around starting March the 20th. The downside to spring calving cows, especially if you're on an area with a lot of fescue, is that you end up having to put a bull in the middle of June, and that's getting pretty hot. And if the cows are not heat tolerant, or if they're not fescue tolerant, then you can start to see issues with breeding. So I suspect I maybe had that issue with a few cows last year, or it could have been a bull issue. I'm not exactly sure. So those cows that didn't breed well last year, I made them the fall calving herd. I moved them to that group, and I'm crossing them with the South Pole. That's because I want to try to add, you know, some extra heat tolerance to those cattle. So the offspring of those cattle will hopefully have more heat tolerance. So when it comes to fall calving, a lot of people promote fall calving in fescue areas. So fescue, if you have a lot of fescue, you're worried about end of fight from fescue, you do fall calving. They're breeding, you know, you're calving around September, you're putting a bull out the end of November, 1st of December. It's cold out. Fescue's not really a problem when it's not as big of a problem when it's cold out. So they usually breed better. But in my opinion, you're really not selecting for fescue tolerant cattle. You're still managing around the fescue. So the goal with this group of registered Red Angus cattle is to try to find the ones that can breed in the heat of the summer, that are more fescue tolerant, more heat tolerant, and to try to promote those lines of cattle and try to develop a herd of heat tolerant, fescue tolerant Red Angus cattle that finish well on grass. It's been a learning curve. I think we've made a lot of steps in the right direction, but I still don't feel like we're there yet. Now, with the fall calving herd, I'm breeding those to South Pole because, to be honest, I feel like those cattle, most of those are already not as heat tolerant and not as fescue tolerant. So I'm trying to cross them up with the South Pole, which are that way. And I also think there's other benefits to the South Pole other than just the heat and fescue tolerance. We're trying to get a cow that will, you know, be easy to maintain, and all the other attributes of the South Pole. And then eventually I may even try to bump those fall calvers up to where they're actually calving in the summer. So my long-term goal as of right now is to try to maybe back those cattle up where they'll start calving maybe in August, and then back them up to maybe where the next year they're calving in July, and kind of experiment with that to see what works out best. And final closing, I think farming or cattle raising, whatever you want to call it, it's okay to experiment with different techniques, but you need to experiment in an area that if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world, you know. So you got to try different things, and you got to watch the cows, make sure the cows are performing the way you want them to perform. And if they're not, you have to make adjustments. And you have to decide what adjustments you want to make, you know, whether that's, you know, using a different breed of cows like the South Pole in my circumstances, or whether it's, you know, not trying to strip graze in the middle of the winter if your cows are losing condition, or if it's, you know, supplementing strip grazing with bale feeding. So yeah, there's a lot of things to consider. Not only, we haven't even talked about the economics behind all this, and maybe I'll do that in another video, yeah, so we'll see. But anyway, I think I'll stop for there today, and I hope you all have a good day, and hope you all are enjoying the winter, and hopefully it's not too terribly cold. Thank you guys.